Our reading is from Psalm 66, verses 8 to 20. Bless our God, O peoples, let the sound of his praise be heard, who has kept us among the living and has not let our feet slip. For thou, O God, hast tested us, thou hast tried us as silver is tried. Thou didst bring us into the net, thou didst lay affliction on our loins, thou didst let men ride over our heads. We went through fire and through water, yet thou hast brought us forth to a spacious place. I will come into thy house with burnt offerings, I will pay thee my vows, that which my lips uttered and my mouth promised when I was in trouble. I will offer to thee burnt offerings of fatlings, with the smoke of the sacrifice of rams. I will make an offering of bulls and goats. Come and hear, all you who fear God, and I will tell what he has done for me. I cried aloud to him, and he was extolled with my tongue. If I had cherished iniquity in my heart, the Lord would not have listened. But truly God has listened. He has given heed to the voice of my prayer. Blessed be God, because he has not rejected my prayer or removed his steadfast love from me. When marathon runners during a race suddenly find they have no energy and their feet are like lead, they talk about hitting the wall. It often hits them just over halfway into the 26-mile race, when they know that they're nearly there, but they also know that they're not quite there. That, coupled with dehydration and exhaustion, mean that they find it difficult to keep up their rhythm and resolve, and are tempted to stop running, to sit down in the road, and to give up. Going through the wall takes a strong mind, but because it's a recognised and much spoken of experience, runners know that this isn't just happening to them, and that there are ways to run through the wall or climb over it, or simply to keep running for a while, knowing that if they keep pushing, it will get better. I don't speak from any personal experience not being a runner, but this past week I've heard that phrase, hitting the wall, used by a number of people about the lockdown. And although it's not been used in the context of marathon running, we all know what we mean. Our good intentions and our resolve have got us this far. We've tried to adapt to using technology and working from home and homeschooling children. We've kept in touch with friends and relatives over the internet, and we've found jobs around the house and garden that we've always put off doing. So now we have weed-free borders and clean kitchen cupboards. We've read books that we always meant to get round to reading, and we've watched box sets recommended to us by friends. And we've waited patiently, wondering what each news bulletin will bring us, what possibilities we might hear of the lockdown being lifted, or at least eased. But then, over the last week or so, we ran out of energy, and our resolve began to weaken. The walls seemed to close in on us, and we yearned for the freedom to meet friends in coffee shops or go for a long walk in the hills. We're fed up cleaning the cupboards, and there's nothing new in television. Our good intentions around keeping fit and working efficiently are wearing thin, and the novelty of homeschooling is descending into shouting and shrugging and stomping on both sides. And celebrations that we had planned, that brought us hope and something to aim for, birthday parties and school shows and holidays, all these are passing us by with no idea when we might pick them up again. We have hit the lockdown wall, and no wonder. The people who have used that phrase, lockdown wall, have all said, we'll get through it. They've all said they know they're going through a phase that will lift, but in the middle of the marathon that we're on, we find ourselves at a difficult stage. Our energy is in short supply. We need to voice our frustrations and our fears and our anger and our uncertainty. And once voiced and shared, we discover that we're not the only ones feeling this way, and the wall gets a little easier, the way a little less difficult. I hope that's true for you as well. The book of Psalms, which we read from this morning, expresses the whole range of human emotion and feeling, from joy and celebration to anger and despair to frustration and isolation, from absolute certainty to raging doubt, from moments of panic to words of peace. If you're looking for something to read, you could do worse than working your way through the 150 Psalms, all different lengths, so in some days you'll have a shorter read than in others. And you'll recognise familiar phrases that you've been quoting all your life, perhaps without realising that you're quoting the Bible. You'll read all the emotions I've just mentioned, plus a good few others too. It's a book of honesty and emotion and truth. And despite being written at a very different time and in a very different place from our own, the words reflect the common humanity that we all experience. Psalm 66 begins with a verse that we didn't read just now. It says, "Make a joyful noise to God, all the earth." It begins as a psalm of praise and celebration that for the time being we might not feel able to join in. But by the time we reach verse 10, we hear words that speak directly to us at this time. "For thou, O God, hast tested us. Thou hast tried us as silver is tried." That's more like it. We understand about being tested and tried, and although we might not choose to use phrases like "thou didst lay affection on our loins," we nevertheless know what the writer is saying and feeling. "We went through fire and through water," it continues, and again we nod our heads. It sometimes takes biblical language to express some of the deepest emotions that we are feeling. But then, having expressed that depth of feeling, that acknowledgement of the difficulties, then comes a sense of peace and of calm. We've said what we think and feel. We've got our worries and our frustrations off our chest, and we're able to carry on, knowing that we are understood and that we're not alone. Truly, God has listened, the psalmist says. He has given heed to the voice of my prayer. I hope that we can find peace and understanding in the voice of the psalmist and in the stories of frustration and despair that we tell one another. And knowing that we are not alone, but understood and in good company, human and divine, we can put one foot in front of another again. Let us pray. Loving God, you walk with us through good times and bad, a pillar of fire in our darkness, providing light and heat and guidance. Your arms welcome us when we tire and enfold us when we despair. You hear our anger and our frustration. And then, after you have heard us and held us, and we find our strength returning, you put us down gently to walk on your path once more, always in your footsteps and always within your sight. For your presence and care, for your understanding and the understanding of those around us, we give thanks. We praise your name. We know your love. Amen.